T1 in that single elimination. They have an extra life moving into this game.
One thing I really, okay, so Melik's gonna get banned right away.
No Mel.
One thing I really want people to focus on in this best of 5 is when Viper picks some of his best carries. The Varus and the Ezreal in particular, he's been phenomenal on. But if you end up getting a bad draft with that pick, you lose it for the series. And because he's so much more pivotal of a AD carry than Ruler is, that damage share we talked about earlier. And, you know, if he dies first in a team fight, for example, Hanwha usually lose those fights 10 out of 10 times. Where he decides to go, this is my Ezreal game, this is my Varus game, is going to be so important. Because once those are gone, if you fall behind in the series, it's a little bit tougher to be that hyper carry guy every single game because you just don't get to play the picks back to back to back in this format.
Yeah. I do really like the Jace ban. I think GENG have certainly done their homework. Galio going to be taken away from Chovy or Keen here because, of course, the Rumble is left up, so it does mean that there's a lot more of an answer. Kasante, or the Keen Sante, should I say, going to be locked away. Doesn't really fill me with hope.
Yeah, because now you could just go Rumble Vi pretty easily as Hanwha Life Esports here with a Vi available. It would, of course, remove Vi from the equation. A good point Ox was bringing up is oftentimes you don't see teams picking Vi on red side. And Chronicle and I were talking about this a little bit yesterday too, because you're like, ooh, I want to save the Vi for the good draft on blue side, but felt like a pretty obvious rotation here, but they're going to get the Yone instead.
You pick Yone, how do you then pick the Rumble? So Yone Vi comes in here, theoretically, for Hanwha Life Esports, and they'll always get Rumble on 3.
Yeah. I mean,
oh,
there's no
God.
way to deny. And it's expensive in terms of what you use up here, Fearless-wise, to use the Yone, the Vi, and the Rumble all in one draft, but feels like a good rotation. They will swap, though.
I mean,
however,
I think this is fine.
Yeah. And
just
now
as powerful.
Not necessarily a great setup for the Vi, unless Chovy wants to play Ahri here, for example, which he certainly could pivot to. And this game 1 for Fearless between top teams like this gets so interesting because of the opportunity cost involved in every choice you make. It will lock it in, it looks like here, even though there's no chance Hanwha would play it, and they could save it for another series, or another game in this series. So does Chovy lock the Ahri now? It's the big question. It's been one of our highest picked mid laners for our top teams. It's the only one that Showmaker has played multiple times, and he's played it so many. See if he will lock that in. Looking for the Aurora, though, instead.
Yeah, Aurora's also a very, very powerful champion and also gives Chovy a whole lot of lane control up against this Yone.
Zeus could be playing the Yone in the top lane as well. This does give an opportunity for Hanwha to pivot if they're not happy with the matchup.
I mean, doesn't it just... Okay, never mind. It could be Ambessa. They could just lock Ambessa as well, but then you'd need Viper on a Kai'Sa. And so maybe they'll just lock that one away. That was actually one of the champions that Viper has really been drawn to so far in this LCK Cup. The Kai'Sa has been one of his best champions, which is why he's had so many of these solo kills. You saw 7-1 was the solo kill count. Well, he's been playing a lot of Kai'Sa. That's going to be locked in here. Gives them the magic damage, but now Rumble will be banned.
Yeah. I do think that is going to be the case.
Well, Ambessa is also probably going to be banned.
A pretty high chance. And you have a really nice setup for the Sejuani in lane, so Peanut can, even if they do opt for that Yone mid, which is still, I think, pretty likely, can combat that decently well. Xayah is an obvious ban here into the Kai'Sa, and obviously you're playing a Yone composition, so having that extra flexibility, the ability to escape from that engage range is quite valuable here.
Yep. Also just one of those picks that you always see picked into the Kai'Sa and vice versa. It's kind of crazy.
So a Rumble is definitely a consideration here for GENG. Camille, another pick that has been making big waves here, but this is not a Lehen's angle where he's going to be playing Shen. I don't think Delight's interested in that one. Galio is also banned, so surprised to see that one at this stage, as the Ezreal, similar situation to the Xayah, just buys too much space against this comp, and Viper would like to keep it for the rest of the series as well.
Yeah, I think Ezreal, we've spoken about the Ezreal Kai'Sa matchup many, many times. I don't know whether it's necessarily as this beats that as people would expect. The Ambessa is going to be the key ban that will be taken away here, as now Zeus can go towards the Rumble. It has sort of, like, the stock of the Rumble has kind of gone down a little bit, given the fact that there's a Kai'Sa there to do a fair bit of magic damage, but I think with the Kraken Slayer build, you can still do it as, oh my god, is he going to go there again?
Channeling a little bit of T1 Zeus here with a hover on the Vayne.
Ooh, Gwen would be fun.
I like the Gnar a lot here, actually, just because it's going to give you such a stable matchup here into the Kasante. and you have a lot of engage opportunities later on. As for Ruler, this gets a little bit tricky. The Varus outranges the Kai'Sa and will give you a lot of power in lane, and they have a lot of setup for that poke, and they've got a great front line, but rather see a more, damage-focused, lethal tempo 80 carry here. Corki wasn't really what I had in mind.
Certainly does brawl a lot, though, and you're not going to get punished for your short range against this composition.
No, definitely not.
Everyone's going to be pretty in your face. So I think that this is a pretty good Corki angle. See what Duro is going to lock in alongside it. I would assume some engage, as a Leona does seem like a pretty basic choice.
Yeah, also pretty good to deter potential dives as well. If we do see Peanut pathing towards the Corki. Similar situation here with the Cassante, or it's not the Cassante, the Alistar. Cassante and Alistar will make such a great front line, though, even in some of the early game skirmishes where you can see that Corki armor shred really actually make a big difference, for example, on an early Herald fight or even that secondary Grubs fight, if the Corki does show up to said fight.
Yeah,
Rakan, so easy to lock this one in with the setup you already have. And for Hanwha Life Esports, you have a lot of engage, you have really decent poke. The follow-up is so easy with Rakan and Kai'Sa here. If you have a good Gnar, it's easy for the Kai'Sa to get on top of those targets. Similarly, Yone can follow up. Yone can start the fight. The Gnar can get the bar in the middle of it once the brawly composition that GENG pulls out does come there. I think the trickiest part for GENG's composition is just making sure they don't fall behind early, because there's a lot of ways that this composition for Hanwha Life Esports can catch you off guard, can skirmish really well. If you can get to the 2-item spike for this Corki, though, for Ruler, and the Aurora becomes a side lane threat and can kind of push the Yone out, it becomes super easy, I feel, to play GENG's comp mid to late. And so I kind of favor them going into this one because this is going to be a high-level game. I don't expect too many early errors, and I don't think, even though there's a lot of agency in Hanwha Life's draft, I don't think they'll necessarily be able to catch GENG pants down in some of these early fights and get a huge lead. I think they could still win if they don't have it, but I think it gets a lot tougher.
Yeah, I actually really like what both of these teams have done. I think this is the perfect game one between, the two teams that were in our LCK final that was so incredibly intense last time around in 2024. So I'm just hoping that we do get a good game representative of exactly that, because if something goes wrong, then maybe that's a sign for the rest of the series. I want competition, and I want it right now. And these compositions could certainly get us there. Delight's Rakan staring us down here as well as we get ready to jump onto the Rift for game number 1, GENG versus Hanwha Life Esports. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Onto the Rift, ready for game number 1 of this best of 5. Remember, double elimination from here. It is round 2, and that does mean that we do have a lower bracket. Some vision being put down all over the place as we have some lane swaps being scoped out. Delight is going to spot that Keen is here towards the bottom side of the map.
I feel like when you look at Hanwha's comp, it's such an expensive one for Fearless for this team. Every single player is playing a pick they're iconically known for, with the exception of Viper, I would say, but this tournament, iconically known for, right? And
yeah, 100%.
Like, Delight's Rakan, obviously world famous. Zeka, Yone, enough said. Peanut, Sejuani, Zeus, debut Gnar. It is very much the Hanwha Life. I got exactly what I wanted individually for each player, and it made a good comp. Delight is...
The thing is, I think if you get all of these champions, sometimes you can be like, oh, have we invested too much? But if you're on the red side, here in the LCK Cup especially, I think it's worth it, right? If you, getting a break of serve, I think is worth investing everything that you can into.
Yeah, got to make sure you hit that break, though.
Yeah.
If you end up losing this one, it's going to feel very heavy, the champs you've lost. But I do agree. I think Hanwha Life really utilized red side quite well here. And this is, like you said, one of the best game ones you could hope for. We're really pulling out all the stops early.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that the punishment of the Cassante first pick as well is pretty evident. As we'll just have to see. This is, I think, a big pain point, though, for GENG on the bottom side of the map. I know Duro was feeling unwell last time we saw him. Thankfully, feeling a lot better here today. But he is the youngest player on the Rift right now, right? Yeah. He is the one with the least experience and the most untested. And I think that Viper and Delight would certainly be able to have a better time this time around. Because, of course, GENG did manage to take down Humble Life Esports in the group stage. Don't know whether that's going to happen again. There's a decent flash there from Viper, but still has to use it. Duro not even investing his as the Void Seeker comes out. Bit of damage, but that is damage done here as Viper without that key summoner.
Yeah, I think a lot of people consider Alistar as one of those champs that always loses out level 2, always loses that early part of the laning phase, but I think the LCK teams, especially this season, have really figured out certain matchups where the AD carry does enough damage. You can just kind of engage, trade your Aftershock, and get value. Hit level 2 first with that added pressure of that engage, and then start to get trades like this. We've seen so many good early game Alistar plays over the last few weeks in playoffs, and that was one of them. So Viper now down his flash. There's like a huge win here for GENG's bottom lane, right as you were talking about Duro. Confidence definitely showing, at least here in the first moments of this one. Yep.
It's good to see that he is playing with that confidence as well. Zeker is going to unbind his soul and then just clear out the wave. Look for a little bit of a reset as the waves do just meet. It is 1 CS the difference between himself and Chovy. Nothing really to write home about just yet.
Yeah, it's a tough matchup to play out, but as long as you don't get into kill pressure, eventually you'll be able to teleport back, and Chovy will run out of mana, so he won't be able to keep trying to kill you forever.
Yep, well, Duro gonna flash, gets that pulverized headbutts Viper back as decent knock up there from Delight, who's trying to battle dance his way around. Decent little barrier, but it's still Ruler that's able to grab the first blood for GENG.
That flash being gone, so critical here. And this looks like a really nice set play for GENG that was communicated earlier. Duro says, I'm going to look for flash, gets the flash out of Viper. Canyon immediately sets up the pathing to go bottom side to look for the punish. Delight's just going to get what he can here. Unfortunately, not going to be able to utilize this gold all too well. At least he'll get some experience, but you can see where Canyon is, gets the Scuttle Crab on his way over. Duro sees his opportunity, flashes, gets the headbutt back, and then Ruler just goes straight in and is channeling all that Gatling gun. Delight tries to block as much damage as he can, but fortunately it's not enough. Barrier also on cooldown now for Viper, so both summoners gone. And with the lead that the Corki has, Ruler's able to get both a longsword and that tier with the boots. And he is ready to come back and do it again. He's ready to keep putting that pressure on.
Yeah, this is an absolute disaster for HLE. As Trev, you're not going to find all the buttons, but you can see Zeker taking a lot of damage. Duro going to be Hex flashing over, just because you may as well use the button now that it's been unlocked. And I think Viper's done. He's going to head towards the top side of the map, see whether he can pick up some of the farm up there. Understands that fighting against this Corki is going to be basically impossible.
Yeah, I mean, with the call by, now he's got 2 longswords, or 2 daggers, excuse me. He wishes he had 2 longswords.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just not really going to be fighting back. Can maybe try to proc that plasma a little bit faster with that attack speed, but he is not in a happy place at the moment. Nope. And it is going to take a while for him to get back into the thick of things. Farming solo for now. We'll give him the opportunity to get that experience back because he's in a deficit there.
And this is what we were talking about.
Yeah.
The Cassante certainly hasn't been finding a whole lot of success more recently. Not necessarily played by the majority, our top teams, right? Like you saw Rich and Perfect, like both DRX and KT were struggling for a lot of different reasons. But still, we'll see whether Keen can buck that trend.
Zeus and Kingen kind of being the high-profile ones on there.
Yep.
And Zeus will hit level 6 here. Ruler still going to be able to apply pressure. And I think even though he's not going to be threatening a Kaisa, the fact that he could just push in on this Gnar feels pretty good. He's just stacking tier. He's already ahead of the curve. Just a fantastic start for the bottom duo, which is, again, it's not necessarily been a weak point, but it hasn't felt like the strong point it was with Lehens so far here in 2025 just yet. But Duro continuing to try to change that narrative.
Yeah, they're actually having a great start to this one. Certainly bodes fantastically well for the series. Ruler takes a cheeky little turret shot. Delight moving on down just to clear out some vision where he can. Looks like the Grubs are going to go over to HLE pretty comfortably. Peanut over there will be able to secure that one, but GENG not wasting resources. Heading over there as there's a Gnar back. Duro taking the turret for a very long time. The wallop is so good, and Duro just going to get knocked on the head. Ruler not able to get enough damage back to answer. Zeus, he put his hand up. He's ready to carry.
Yeah, he is certainly raising his hand, saying, yes, I would like to bring us one back. I think I can do it. And with a really nice play there, without flash, by the way, didn't have to use his flash for the play, ends up getting a huge win, still has flash available. But flash from Ruler will help him get away because, yes, you have Valkyrie, but you need to get out fast. So Valkyrie still has a little bit of wind up to actually get your way out of there, so he flashes instantly. Otherwise, he would have probably been caught by a follow-up there from Delight and would have just been doomed. So we'll watch it again.
He's got Mega perspective.
And he's like, I'm going for it. Goes in, hits the Alistair. Flash from Ruler gets him away. Unfortunately for Duro, no way out of this one. You can see Ruler tries to offer some damage back, but there's just no way he's going to be able to trade a kill here.
And I was wondering, because there are a couple of minions that survived for a little bit longer there, if the Ignite hadn't have happened, maybe Duro is, you know, lasts an extra few abilities or something like that, and buys a bit of extra time for Ruler to get a kill back. But I don't know. Hindsight is indeed 20/20, so I am not going to judge him for that one. Was just a great play from Zeus, all things considered. It's a bit Australian as far as the laning is concerned. Viper and Delight going to meet Ruler and Duro here towards the top side. No plates to be going down just yet. Only one in the bottom lane was picked up here by the GENG bottom duo.
Feels pretty okay for both sides, this Australian setup, because Zeus is going to, obviously with that kill especially, have a lot of power here over Keen. And then on the other side, you have the top side pressure that Ruler is going to put on with his Corki advantage over the Kai'Sa like he was before. And I just realized I got completely tricked by the UI with the double dagger. It's, the two made it look like there were two daggers. And I don't know why.
There was a dagger above it.
Yeah.
So Zeka's dagger was
well, I was
above
like,
it as
well, I don't know.
confusing.
I have to apologize to everyone because I'm like, when I said it, I was like, that doesn't seem right. But I'm like,
not going to lie. I did spend a lot of time looking for another dagger in the inventory. And I was like, oh, no, I'm just too stupid to understand. I just can't see the dagger.
I just saw it. Like,
I mean, a Doran's Blade's kind of a dagger as well, right?
I don't know. When you look at the two, like on the refillable pot for Zeus, it looks like there's two long swords. Zeus?
Yeah, there's an ulti from Chovy. It's going to be traded for Zeka's one.
Zeka, rather. I see Yone, I see Zeus on the team. The two Z's, man, the four-letter Z guys.
Dude, it got me all day. Oh, my. Yeah, on Thursday, I could not stop messing them up. I feel vindicated, actually, that it's also happening to you. Thank you very much. It's just, it is the Z solo lanes that are tough to sort out in your brain.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's my Z flub. We got the double daggers. We're getting them out of the way early, as Zeus will run out of Nara here. I don't think anything will come of it.
Sometimes you just got to press your R button if you can. That feels real bad.
Oh, that's real bad.
Zeba Pole onto an unbound target. It's not going to amount to too much. But Ruler now parked in the mid lane, and it looks like Grubs might be the next port of call for both of these teams, unless there's going to be a bit of a dragon trade or something like that. Earth, Wind, and Fire on the table, always a fun one.
Yeah, we'll see what ends up coming of this early dragon prio for GENG, as Peanut is lurking here on the top side. Chovy is playing back very respectfully here, and then does not fall for this. And, I mean, Canyon's relatively nearby. It's going to be tough to actually collapse Ruler, though.
Ruler was seen. Takes a fair bit of damage, but there's the ulti from Peanut! Remember, he's in the game! And they're going to be able to take down Ruler. That grabs them a whole bunch of extra money and priority on these Grubs. 6 of them going to be available for HLE if they're able to secure this. This is a very big turnaround in this game, where it felt like that bottom side lead was a real foothold for GENG. With 6 Grubs and that pick, could be a big deal. But they're going to need to get all 6.
I mean, if GENG mess up this fight, they'll lose all 3, really.
All right, Viper level 8 can Killer Instinct his way in, and Zeka doesn't have his ulti back up just yet, but it is getting closer. 4 Grubs might be what HLE are going to settle themselves for. And honestly, you still get those Void Mites, and you don't have to risk too much. They grab that pick onto Ruler, and they go about their business.
And, you know, Peanut used his ult for that last pick. Doesn't want to actually commit any further here. And I think it was potentially a winnable fight, as we'll go back to this. I mean, the lane setup here is really awkward. You know, Peanut put the pressure on top side, then was like, all right, and if you guys want to fight for vision in this choke, you're going to have to rotate your Corki over, and catches him there. That's what I was talking about. Ruler often getting caught, sometimes trying to join his teammates, a little bit lazy on that rotation, but really wanted to make sure they could control that zone. Hanwha Life, they backed away, and I thought we'd see a rush straight towards the Dragon, but instead they actually opt for a reset. It means GENG will get that additional grub, as well as come over here and start this one up.
Well, Peanut is in fog of war for the moment as he dashes over. There's the steal. Thank you very much for that one. Chemtech Soul going to be this game, as Peanut thrown around like a ragdoll, and I think is going to die. So a bit of a sacrifice of himself for the Drake. And maybe it's going to be fine. as Peanut does complete yet another Heartsteel. Bit of a contentious purchase of a Heartsteel on the Amumu in the last game. We'll see whether he's going to stack it more than 0 times before his Nexus is under fire.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one. Sejuani going to get a lot of value out of that health stacking either way, though. As Keen going to stop a back. Will feel nice, doesn't lose too much for this, as long as he gets that cannon. Okay, he's good. And yeah, this game has kind of been blown wide open here. And the steal feels really nice for Hanwha Life Esports, considering as well that they get the high value Infernal before that Chemtech Soul. Peanut has vision here, so it's really easy for him to just slide in. It's a little bit early for Canyon, who just reacts to Peanut coming in there. Peanut will, of course, die for this, though. So a ton of gold being given over to the side of GENG, but the stats still do matter on that solo dragon. It feels also less good when you know it's a Chemtech Soul, but you got the good one.
It also puts you in the running for feats of strength, definitely, as well. Because, of course, both of the teams on 2 kills right now. 1 more kill, 1 more objective for HLE, and they will be able to find that advantage.
Yeah, especially considering no turrets are really close to going down. That added objective power is going to be huge. The Herald going to be up in 2.5 minutes, so...
And the idea of just pick up the Herald, you get that feat of strength, and then move that straight into a lane to try and take down a turret. That is certainly a huge one for both of these teams. You can see both on completely even gold. There is nothing in it between the two of them. And this is what we wanted, right? We wanted a close series.
Yeah.
Well, this is about as close as it gets.
For sure. Ruler having 2 kills feels really huge here for the side of GENG. The fact that he was able to pick up that kill onto Peanut is pretty massive. After he got picked off, doesn't have the same massive lead that he had over Viper earlier on, but still pretty big.
Yeah, Zeka underneath the turret here.
Peanut lurking.
Yeah, there's another ulti. The Valkyrie was buffered decently, and the flash out does come on through. But now the quickness to stop Canyon from being able to do anything. Ruler is trying to free hit as best he can, but he doesn't quite have the damage as Viper. Even able to turn around and claim the kill onto the Vi. And an ulti from Zeka pulls him under the turret, and then he kind of regrets all of his decisions as the buttons go wide, and he says, oh, thank goodness I can just leave.
Yeah, he will just be able to leave there, but doesn't get a kill. Knowing that his enemy jungler was dead, thought perhaps, and was showing mid, thought perhaps he could make a play there, but is unsuccessful. As this looked like initially, you know, okay, Ruler is definitely going to die here. This is going to be a successful play. Peanut's there in the brush. And even though Ruler is able to Valkyrie out, he's still caught, right? So stunned at the end of the buffer, has to flash, but then watch Viper here, pops his barrier, kites back with his supercharger, layers that damage in, pops his refillable, and walks away casually. Great movement there from Viper. If he doesn't play that as well as he did, then it does not end up being a counter kill coming over there.
It did make me a bit nervous when he sort of supercharged a little bit closer to the Vi than he maybe needed to. But still, as you say, played it out just fine. And once I've seen this movie before. Is this a replay once again? Is Peanut going to flash over that wall? Vault Breaker going to come out from Canyon. I don't think Peanut's out of the woods just yet. And by just yet, I mean, I don't think he's ever going to get out of the... Okay, maybe he's fine. Going to have a look towards the top side here, as the knockup is going to be absorbed there by Keen, as Yakety Sax plays in the background on the bottom side, as Keen just kind of outplaying. He's way too tanky. Does have the Iceborne Gauntlet now completed. And GENG just kind of mitigating aggression everywhere.
Yeah.
Although I don't know what Peanut was doing. Is that called aggression? I'm not sure. Well, GENG are going to look to try and take down this turret. And they should be able to do so.
A bit weird there. Teleport from Zeka.
Yeah, we're coming in once more as Zeka now looking to try and do the damage that he can as Zeus picks up the Meganar just in time, but Keen is still alive!
Yeah, this is a Cassante.
Yeah, let's just kill the turret, guys, or something like that. The house is going to connect here as Zeus is going to look to just try and finish him off. Will he find it? He just eats the CC because he's Cassante, ladies and gentlemen, and now Chovy's going to finish off Zeus. Keen just really made everyone look silly on HLE.
I want to see that Peanut replay before we talk about this, because I think the two, I'm trying to tie them together here a little bit, because it seems like Hanwha's whole game plan is we have to get this Yone fed, which is fair, and you know, you have a strong mid game, but hard forcing some of these plays is coming with big costs, as we're not going to be taking a look at that replay right now, because we got to look at this live take of the Herald here for GENG. Because they only have one of those objectives secured, it will be their second, and this means Hanwha Life, if they can secure this dragon here, will actually nail feats of strength away from them. But Okay, we're gonna skip the Peanut replay.
Yeah, I'm glad. It was a bit silly, a bit too silly, I think.
Keen has Ghost, and he's Cassandre, so he has Unstoppable, stops the knock up there, pulls Delight back, does a ton of damage here to Delight, and then Zeus decides he wants to go in a bit deeper. He's like, okay, we got his ultimate, we should be able to pull this off. Amnar. Unfortunately, even with the teleport coming through here, Cassandre and turret ramp is pretty crazy. There's no wave here, so Zeka just picks up turret aggro immediately. And yeah, this is just a mess. He gets Meganar, so he survives, but then Chovy just shows up and takes him out. Keen buys a ton of time as he just feels so priced into making this play work.
I think HLE kind of changed their mind and said, nah, let's just kill the turret. But Keen kind of just made even that impossible as Chovy comes in and cleans up.
Don't forget, Chovy also got first turret in the bottom lane during that as well. So
yeah. And a Rift Herald charged into the mid lane, I'm pretty sure. And that is going to spell a dead turret and then some more damage on the inner. As you can see, though, I mean, there's not really a whole lot of money in it on either side, as this might be some money. Cease and Desist comes on through. Zeus is pretty tanky, but maybe not tanky enough, as he does get the double hop. The ulti comes through as Zeus, he gets to safety. Peanut with the prison save.
Peanut here just in the nick of time, but
if he dies now, that would be very, very sad, as Canyon moves over, doesn't find the Vault Breaker, as Arctic Assault does a decent amount of work. Zeus alive for way too long, as the Winter's Wrath, one more auto, and Peanut takes down his opposite number. So a 1-for-1 in that top lane. Duro underneath this turret, trying to take it down if he can. The quickness is decent, charming up almost everyone here as Delight looks to make his way out. Chovy now in trouble as the Unbound Soul from Zeka gets him over there and shuts down the mid laner. And now Ruler finds himself in amongst everyone and is unable to get even the tiniest little bit of damage under Delight to take him down. Maybe, just maybe wanted to allow his ex-teammate to live, but probably not.
I think GENG definitely going a little bit too deep on the we're winning everywhere on the map, because they were winning everywhere on the map, but man,
yeah, it's almost like a trade, right? Because you had Hama do the same craziness just before.
So they got the mid turret right, then they're coming up here to make this play to get top turret, but Zeus gets saved here by Peanut. And I feel like we had, you know, it was a 9-6 pred, but we didn't have any turret predictors, so I feel like turrets might win this series without us going so far. And look, Keen does end up securing the kill here. It's a great trade for GENG because it's top laner for jungler, and it allows Keen to get the turret in the follow-up, but in the mid play, Viper just kind of breaks their ankles again. As you can see, the turret is still, by the way, it's quite valuable in these types of skirmishes, and Chovy's ultimate is a little bit shaky.
And Delight's quickness got so much value. It was ridiculous. He was CC'd for almost the entire time as, oh my goodness, that phosphorus bomb. Yeah, you can see Ruler probably thinking that that one was going to be able to get at least a double.
Yeah, also Delight coming in clutch with that Q healing at the very end. With the shielding of barrier, you know, and the locket that Delight's picked up, we don't always see locket on Rakan, but it makes a ton of sense in this game. You know, it's just so hard to kill Viper when he's got his sums and he's got his support nearby. He's also got heal to give some more speed to a supercharged Kaisa.
Well, speaking of supercharged, that Blast Cone also pretty supercharged, as Arakan is down to about 2/3. And GENG don't have a very good relationship with Arakan at the moment. Haven't really figured out exactly how to make that objective work for them. So you can see a little bit of apprehension. HLE as well, not wanting to throw that one out willy-nilly, give GENG the opportunity to make their way back. Because you can see, I mean, make their way back. They are ahead by 500 gold as GENG, but it does feel like the game is moving a little bit more towards HLE.
Yeah, I mean, with the large Kaisa that's sitting on 2 items right now, I mean, Corki is also going to hit his spike once he finishes those tier stacks, even though Ruler picked it up early. Spent some time in the Death Chamber. This one doesn't have the 360 just yet. It's all about how this next team fight's going to go. We're all sitting on the edge of a knife right now. Whoever wins this one will take a pretty significant lead. Otacon and this Chemtech Dragon stacked up on the bottom side of the map here. Zeus has teleport.
Yeah, you can see the Unbound Soul does come on through. Pulverize as Zeka is trying to get himself out of there. They block the ulti, so he'll have to flash. Cease and Desist comes in. Vault Breaker pushes him back, and Zeka, even though he gets a cute little shield, it's not going to be enough. Viper takes down an outer turret and goes into melee range against Keen. I don't know about that one. Keen goes all out. There's a big shield with the barrier and the knockups. Delight saves the life of his AD carry. And Keen Sante going to fall. There's the ulti from Chovy. The flash out of the way as the ex-teammate is looking to punish. Will the Void Seeker connect as Viper? He's lining it up. He's lining it up, and Zeus says, take a house. Never mind, it's actually Peanut. They're going to sacrifice Otacon for it, though, so I don't know whether it's necessarily worth.
I think
as
it is.
Genji,
I mean, they're still gonna get it, but like the mid is just getting ripped to shreds here. 3 kills.
I mean, and it's only 2 buffs.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's 2 kills plus a third. The Otacon is gonna go over, like you said, several players dead when it is obtained. But look at how much farm is also being lost in mid. Zeus is getting the top turret, and it was a great macro game for GENG up until this point. But Hanwha Life really just proven that, I mean, Viper has the backup in this game. It's going back to that 80 carry key player matchup. You know, the guy has done so much for this team. He is, you know, you can't spell Viper without VIP, right? Very important player. And, I mean, he's just so important in these types of skirmishes.
I mean, for me, it's Delight as well, saving him so beautifully.
And not only that play that we're about to watch here, but also on the top side play, you know, Viper commits to the turret here, and then he's gotten himself Cassanta'd. But here comes a Rakan who's got Locket. Look at the damage on this fed Kai'Sa. Not even a Cassante can stand up to that firepower. Then in the ensuing skirmish, he also wins out. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but 4 kills on this Kai'Sa, who's now moving towards that AP to have additional poke leading into objectives. And this game is really now heavily leaning towards Hanwha Life. It was so close before they were winning team fights, but Genji was winning on the map. But after that, even though Genji get Otacon, Hanwha Life end up getting 5 turrets in total here, plus those additional kills.
And it's, once again, a bit of an Otacon problem here for Genji. Canyon's going to find Delight. Like ships in the night, they do just rotate around one another. Keen here towards the top side of the map, just trying to go aggressive against Zeka, who does have that soul unbound. Ruler now, he's the one with the Otacon buff. Zeus is splitting on the bottom side of the map. Chovy going to be moving on up here, as we do have a 4v4. Teleport to come down here, as Keen is going to make sure that this Nard does not steal things away, and it's going to be a return as the teleport now from Zeus in response. So it's going to be a 4 versus 5. The quickness is so good. Under 3, here's, my God, Delight and Rakan, ladies and gentlemen. But this knockup, the Pulverize, is just phenomenal. And they're sending everyone back home in a body bag, or as far as a Otacon recall. The bottom lane are going to be taken out. Viper once again just limps his way out of there. And HLE, they're now just winning every fight.
Yeah, now it starts to feel like this game is just unfortunately a little bit unwinnable for GENG. We have a bit of a pause.
Okay.
Like to see that first of the tournament, first of the year.
Well, I actually kind of like that it's now, because there is a lot to sort of discuss here.
Yeah.
And I think that we will be able to get a replay, even though the game is paused, and we'll keep you guys updated as to exactly what happened. But man, that response to the teleport, it's like they see it, and instantly Zeus is like, we kill them all now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a messy fight for GENG, but they feel like they can force it because they have those Otacon buffs. And Otacon gets applied even when champions are dead when it's taken. But they weren't, like, because they lost the fight, they lost those mid turrets, they didn't have a ton of control, so they kind of hard forced their way deep into the jungle because they want to try to set up some of that deep vision. If they can win a fight there using Otacon, they can turn that into a Baron and control a bunch of the map and then get back into the game. They take those turrets out. Maybe they can even get an inhibitor, because remember, they had that really deep mid push earlier on, so it's really just one inhibitor turret stopping them from getting that mid inhibitor if they get the Baron. But these fights have just been so messy and so broken up, and you have to respect Hanwha Life's composition and how good it is at turning, because it had so much great CC and so much peel for this Kai'Sa that's incredibly fed. We talked about it in the draft. I feel like it's really tough for Hanwha to win this game if they fall behind, or if GENG gets to a pretty stable point when we get to late game. And sort of in the mid game where we are now, we're heading towards late game. But the last few fights going so swimmingly for Hanwha Life Esports means that GENG never got that stable game state.
Yeah. We have a little bit of a peripheral issue. So Delight's mouse, something happened, and he has now got, like, which is kind of nutty to me, because he just made an absolutely phenomenal quickness play on his Rakan. And so he's just going to make sure that the mouse is working just fine. Probably will just grab another one and plug it in, would be my assumption.
That's usually how it goes.
Yeah, that's how we figure it out here. We always have a second set of all peripherals for all of the players.
My favorite pause is always the peripheral issue, because it is by far generally the easiest to fix and no controversy.
Yep.
And it is also a win in the fight for Hanwha Life Esports, as he reported it, so there's no like real questions about what it means.
Yeah, I don't think that this one's one we're going to be reading too far into.
Yeah.
as we're checking out all of the fans here. It's a full house. I don't think I can see too many open seats here between both GENG and HLE.
Yeah,
sometimes Lolpark is jam-packed.
Sometimes somebody goes to the bathroom and gets a pause. Like,
oh no, there is an open seat. Yeah,
she's going, but like,
oh, she made me a liar.
You know, when they see peripheral issue, they're probably like, I don't know if there's time to go. Like,
yeah, I was going to say that is a risky one, especially with the fact that we are at a pretty volatile part of the game. I feel like they might walk back to there being a break screen and we're getting ready for the space. That's probably what would happen.
Wow, I haven't seen this one yet. Hashtag ZPZVD.
Ooh. How is ZP doing these days?
He's doing pretty well.
Nice.
Yeah, always chatting with him. He's running some fight nights.
Yep. Has he convinced you to play Final Fantasy 14 yet?
It's been pretty tough to figure out how to buy the game for me. Please tweet at me, should I buy it on Steam or on the Square Enix store? I've been trying to figure it out. There's pros and cons, but yeah, he wants me to play.
So that's why you play 11 instead of 14, because it's easier to buy. Okay.
Yeah, I'm playing 11 all the time these days. That's what I do when I get home from work, and when I'm on my off day watching the LCK at home to prep and stuff, I'm fishing the whole time.
Oh God.
Gotta get my moat carps. Well, this pause has actually taken significantly longer than we expected, to be honest.
Yeah. And I don't even know whether people understood why I asked you the question about ZP, because there was a random like hashtag ZP something else at the bottom of that fan sign.
Yeah, it's always been a big mystery about what ZP stands for him. I always thought it was Zucchini Panini, but perhaps it was Zayas Peanut the whole time.
It could have been. As Gonju SP says, you should buy it off the Square Enix store. As we jump back in, and then immediately Delight was like, nah, man, this ain't it.
Yeah.
So maybe just like if you got one of those mice that's pre-programmable, like set it so that the DPI can be adjusted on the go, could certainly be a good one. I think, you know, it can be a little bit finicky at the very beginning, but once you've done it and you've got a few of those settings that you like to use, then it really does save you.
I hope he did replace it, because sometimes, like, I've had this with my mouse where sometimes it'll occasionally, with several different types of mice, it'll just bug out for a minute and then I just resync it. And then it's like, oh, it's fine. And then you think it's going to be fine, but then maybe 10 minutes later you have another issue. But I see that there's a physical mouse with batteries being replaced right to his right there. So
yeah, there is definitely some mouse action going on down here on the stage. We are making sure that the mice are being provided. Do you know what I actually had? So I had a wired mouse and it stopped working, and I didn't really understand why, because it would stop working and then I'd move it and get a little bit aggressive and then it would start working again. And it turned out that my cat had bitten perfectly through the cable so that at some points I would reattach it just by moving the cable a certain way. And so then it'd work again, and then it'd just stop working if I ever moved the cable into the wrong spot.
That's the worst, where you're like, should I buy a new one or can I make this work? And you kind of just suffer through it for a while.
Yeah.
And then everyone around you is just like, dude, can you
just please be able to push your buttons properly?
My thing right now is my mic stand I bought. Like, occasionally will just like lose its rigidity.
Oh, like the tension?
Like, the tension. It'll just like sometimes like slowly fall down. I have to pick it back up.
Oh, the sad mic stand.
And then when that happens, it pulls out my headphone cord that's plugged directly into my mic, so then I can't hear what people are saying, and then I miss everything.
Oh, God.
And it's horrible. But like, I should just buy a new one, but I'm like, no, it mostly works like 9 out of 10 times, but occasionally it's very annoying. And
I mean, mic arms are very easy to buy as well. There's like 3 that you'd get, you know? Just like choose out of one of the 3, they'll all be fine. And then you're good to go. So maybe that could be a birthday present. When's your birthday again? It's coming up, isn't it?
Yeah, June 22nd. We're a few months away. We get a new mic arm.
Yeah, I think a new mic arm. Maybe all of us can buy you a mic arm so that you can have a mic arm for all the times.
I actually just somewhat redid my desk besides my mic arm, but got some new monitors and got monitor arms, which is kind of a life changer to be able to move the monitors around, because I use 4 because I'm a crazy person. But I also finally went wireless on my keyboard. I fully committed. Now I have, my desk is just so much easier to clean and move things around now that there's no wire attached to my keyboard. I had like a big hang up on it for a really long time. Like, I need to have the best response time. But like, I've been using a wireless mouse for, I don't know, 6 to 8 years or something at this point. So I should probably just have been okay with doing the keyboard. I have felt no noticeable difference, and I kind of wish I bought a wireless keyboard a long time ago.
Yeah, I think I might actually have to make the move. I've still got the same keyboard that I bought when I moved to Korea. You might have actually taken me to Yongsan to buy it at the time.
That's the one I just replaced the one I bought that same day. That's
really?
The one I just replaced.
Okay, well then it's my time as well. I'm going to have to find out exactly which wireless keyboard to buy. But now we are back into the game, ladies and gentlemen, so we don't need to talk about random stuff that's been going on outside of the League of Legends here in Korea, and we can now talk about the League of Legends in Korea on the Rift right now with a new mouse for Delight. As GENG going to move over to clear out some vision around this Baron. Just to catch everyone up, this was HLE just winning a huge team fight off the back of Keen teleporting to the bottom lane, and Zeus then teleporting immediately up towards the top lane.
If you look at the gold, you know, you might not feel like a huge team fight was just won for Hanwha, and also the fact that everyone in GENG is still contesting Prio for Baron. It's because it was a Otacon buffed GENG that was wiped, so they all had the quick withdraw and are now back here to contest. As Hanwha reset, they can actually fight for this vision here. So we reset, we go again. And Hanwha Life this time, not a whole lot of vision in the river around Baron. Double stacked up control wards for the huge vision here for this choke point. Yeah. Zeus, Narbar at a pretty good point, but we need to see a rotation from Zeka. He's very far away.
He is. Peanut is in the area. As Zeus, he can Mega Blast Cone his way over. That will put a Gnar in a very awkward position as there's a Glacial Prison. Headbutt pulls Peanut out of there. But now Zeus, look at this Narbar. They're all up against the wall, and now Peanut is blocking them in there. The quickness comes down as Delight gets into the back line. And there's the 5-man Gnar from Zeus! As Keen tries to go all out, but honestly, I think he wants out of this game as HLE just destroy them.
Vintage Zeus Gnar, as Narbar was perfectly set. Peanut knew it, and he set them up. And that is going to be a real team fight win here for Hanwha Life. Not the full wipe with Keen escaping, but I don't know if it even matters. He's just going to sit in the fountain while Baron is taken. A little bit of a push there in the top lane. They wanted to maybe try to go for that inhibitor, but going for the Baron to guarantee the sturdier push across the map, I think, is the right call. They do back away. Whoa. And, I mean, it doesn't get better than this, but Zeus was so well set up for this, and it was a greedy, risky call for GENG, but they thought there's no way we're going to get this opportunity again, this amount of vision control over the choke. But what they didn't realize was they were kind of so heavily committed in there that if they got caught and cut off by anyone, notably a Sejuani, the Gnar angle was going to be there. And Mega Cone ends up giving Zeus the opportunity to come in here quick. And his
Gnar as well is so perfect this whole time.
And even though Peanut's knocked away, he could still just wrap around here as GENG are trying to decide whether they want to try to push on the Viper, try to focus down Delight, and they're just indecisive, and Zeus is not. You know, he's just ready to kill him.
And that is just 5 people all smashed against that wall. I don't know whether he connected to wall on everyone, but oh man, that is what you dream of, as that is a pickoff onto Duro, who is desperately trying to get some vision outside of his base, which is kind of illegal. The buffed up Hextech Soul is going to be collected here for HLE. Under 50% health, they're going to be doing a whole bunch more. 2% more than they were previously, based on the buff.
So much of this game for me is GENG having good macro, right? And playing the map well. But Peanut's still having some really nice pathing to shut down some of the bigger advantage GENG could have gotten. But I think a lot of this game is really going to be remembered as Viper being focused, but getting away with it, you know? Yeah. Every single time and getting so big, and then Hanwha Life with that goal, just team fighting brilliantly around this Gnar, around this Yone. The Rakan performance from Delight has been amazing. Like I said, this is the dream team for Hanwha. You think about these 5 players and the champs they're associated with, you just look at those portraits and you know this is all comfort. It's a real comp, and Hanwha Life look like they are going to run away with this first game.
Yeah, this one's looking pretty done and dusted right now, unless GENG can find themselves a miracle. And the biggest question mark for me as far as GENG is concerned is it's not Keen. I think that he had some great moments. I think Ruler and Duro did okay in the early game. Duro, of course, much newer player, so certainly has had some flubs. But it's Chovy and Canyon. What have they been doing? Where have they been? I just haven't really felt that impact that we do get from Canyon and Chovy generally in their matches. And we otherwise would, as here's the pickoff. The quickness going to be layered. Canyon, he couldn't do anything. He was basically CC'd and then dead, as now GENG just looking to try and back away. Great interruption there from Duro, but the CC coming out once again as Zeka just going to go back to his soul. They're going to grab this inhibitor, and Delight is just fishing, going for one after the other. And there's the flash forward from Peanut, finds the Winter's Wrath onto Chovy, and then just dies. But they take down these Nexus turrets. HLE with game number 1 on the red side, picking up this victory. So many comfort picks, but you can see exactly why these champions are so good for them. They're able to take it home with some great team fighting in this game.
Absolutely. And I think because we had that Delight pause and there was a bit of a, kind of break in the action, maybe people who tuned in late didn't know, or maybe people who tuned in the beginning might have forgotten. It was an incredibly close game until a few of those breakpoint fights. And the big thing is Viper was just constantly getting these kills and narrowly escaping and becoming fed. And GENG's game plan was win the macro game and then occasionally try to punish Viper when he was being greedy. Like, he pushed all the way in to get that mid turret and got away with it. They tried to catch him on that play where they overcommitted to trying to kill Ruler, but he got away. Delight saved him there. He ended up getting a kill back. And GENG were just a little, they were so close to winning so many of those fights and getting those kills on the Viper. We could have had a completely different game, but instead Viper tops the damage over 1k DPM at 30.7k across 29.53.
That is insane for a Kai'Sa game.
He is the main character for this roster, make no mistake.
Yeah, and I don't know. The thing that's crazy to me is Viper does all that damage. Definitely was the main character. Zeus hit the 5-man Gnar that was so beautifully orchestrated here by HLE. But my POM by a country mile is Delight. He was phenomenal this game. Put out all of the fires, controlled the enemy team, and they're going to be very happy that he doesn't get Rakan in game number 2. Speaking of which, that's going to be coming up. We're going to go to a short break. Then the Space going to break that one down. We'll have game number 2. We'll see you soon.
바이 봐줘. 바이 녹여. 바이 잡았어. 알리 먼저. 모르라고 하고. 날리지 말고. 한번 큐만 박아볼게. 그렇게 발킬 빠졌고. 산테. 나 벌레. 가져. 뭐야 이거? 산테 봐줘. 끝. 끝낼 생각으로 하자. 나 큐플 2초 뒤에 돼. 그렇게 노플. 알리 노플. 타워. 타워치면 끝나. 야? 오케이. 타워. 그렇게 알리 노플이야. 색 쌓아놓게. 싸움 봐야 될 듯. 쌈 봐도 돼. 쌈 보자. 알리 노플. 들어가고. 나이스.